There are over 2.8 million people living with multiple sclerosis worldwide, and each year thousands more are diagnosed. For each of them, MS is a daily battle, one that challenges their bodies, their minds, and their will to keep moving forward. Multiple sclerosis is unpredictable. Its symptoms can come and go, or they can progress relentlessly, leaving behind a wake of uncertainty. It can take away strength, sight, mobility, abilities that most of us take for granted. But for those like Betsy who face this disease head-on, every step is a testament to their resilience.
I'm a regular person. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Once that fear hit in that someday I might never be able to run again, walk again, I just started running more. Right now I'm training to be the first person with multiple sclerosis to run across America. There's a stigma behind it that you're never going to be able to walk again. You're going to end up in a wheelchair. I'm excited for you to follow my journey and share your thoughts and share my thoughts. Whew.
In this documentary, we'll follow Betsy's journey from her diagnosis to her relentless training for an incredible trek across America. Along the way, we'll hear from her neurologist, her coach, and a therapist to gain deeper insights into multiple sclerosis and its impact on those diagnosed with it.
Hi. Oh, no. I'm Betsy, and we are here because I have MS and I'm running across America, and I'm here with my family, my daughters and my husband.
I'm Chris. I'm Betsy's husband, here also because we're trying to document what's the lead up to her run across America.
So I had some symptoms that were numbing on the left side of my face, from the top of my head all the way inside my mouth, and just on the left side. So I went to the hospital, the ER, and that's when they diagnosed me. After being there for like 2 hours, then they said, oh, let's give you an MRI. And that's when they found lesions on my brain and told me I had MS. They did ask that I call Chris so he could be on the phone with me.
Did they tell you like why you needed to be on the phone?
No, so it was just the phone thing sounds weird, like I was in another country, but it was just during the week, and I had to work and I had clinic that day, so not something easy to cancel, so I couldn't be there. When she called, that they said that there was news that they wanted both of us, or they wanted someone with her or to listen as they gave to her. And that was basically, I don't remember even how they said it, or if it was, I think it was the nurse practitioner, right? And I think I do remember you kind of joking about it, cracking a joke about it, which is your style, like when you first heard it. I don't remember exactly what the joke was. I did remember it at the time, but I just remember that just how much things changed right there.
Yeah.
When I first met with Betsy and Chris, it was simply to help with social media content. But as I listened to Betsy's story, I couldn't help but be moved by her courage and determination in the face of her diagnosis. Inspired by her resilience and her mission, I decided to embark on my first filmmaking project, to create a documentary that could serve as a resource for others diagnosed with this disease. Together, our goal is to raise awareness and shine a light on the resilience of those battling multiple sclerosis. But to truly appreciate Betsy's journey, it's important to understand the battle she's fighting every day. Multiple sclerosis affects over 2.8 million people worldwide, each facing their own unique challenges. To shed light on this complex disease, I spoke with Betsy's doctor, a neurologist specializing in MS.
Yeah.
My name is Sam Hushman. I'm a neurologist with a specialty or subspecialty interest in neuroimmunology, which includes multiple sclerosis. I'm an assistant professor at the Medical College of Wisconsin, where I see patients ranging from adolescents to geriatrics with a variety of different neuroimmunologic conditions.
Can you give us kind of a layman's breakdown of MS? It seems to be just something that a lot of people don't understand what it is or how it works or why it's degenerative.
Sure. Multiple sclerosis, I tell patients, is a two-part disease characterized by neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration. It's due to an abnormal immune signal. So the cells in your body that are supposed to help you fight infections, mount antibody response, do immune surveillance to kill off abnormal cells that could become cancerous, go awry and become overactive. And they end up attacking your central nervous system, which is comprised of your optic nerve, which is the vision cable that connects the eye to the brain, any part of the brain itself, and the spinal cord. With these attacks, patients can have a variety of symptoms from vision loss to double vision, pain, fatigue, paralysis, bowel and bladder dysfunction, amongst many other symptoms. Over time, patients with multiple sclerosis can enter a progressive form of the disease, and in some cases, they present with a progressive form of the disease where they have neurologic worsening from onset in some cases, and this continues to affect them throughout their lifespan. Multiple sclerosis isn't inherently genetic, and we don't really know what causes it, but the main theory is it's an immunogenetic disorder, meaning you have to have a genetic predisposition. Hundreds of different genes have been identified to cause multiple sclerosis, but just because you express one of these doesn't mean you will go on to develop the disease. And that's where the environmental component or the immune component comes in. Something has to trigger the immune system. There's been a variety of different factors that have been identified to trigger those with genetic predisposition to develop MS, including vitamin D deficiency, exposure to certain viruses, and even lifestyle things such as smoking.
How long did it take you guys to tell the kids?
So we went on vacation like 2 days after, and we didn't tell any of them. Genevieve and Olivia didn't come on this vacation. It was summer and they're older and whatever. Vivian was hanging out with her cousins. Oh, I'm telling too much.
No.
Like, and then I'm gonna paint the picture. Took a while.
But you didn't, yeah, I think it was a lot. And I think
I didn't want to.
a lot of stuff to process first. And she wanted to have a good grasp on things before
I was nervous to tell them too, because I'm their mom. And I felt like all those, like, oh man. I felt like all those, like, Vivian being the youngest, I felt scared that I would show up in a wheelchair, like, at her school events, and, you know, she would be embarrassed of me or something. And then I felt like the older two, when they have grandchildren, I wouldn't be able to take care of them, like how I'm hoping to someday, like 20 years from now. So I was like, I felt like I was disappointing them. That's how, yeah. So I wanted to wait, like, because I was not scared, but I felt sad. Like, yeah.
How did you guys eventually break it? Was it all together? Was it over phone?
No, we told, Genevieve lived in Utah at the time, and so we told her over the phone. And then Olivia was at school in Milwaukee, so it's like a 20-minute drive, and she would come home every once in a while. And this particular time is like, we told Genevieve first, and then we told Olivia. And I don't think Olivia really, like, took it seriously. or not seriously, but didn't believe us. Because that's what we like to do.
Didn't think that it was like I didn't know the severity of it, and then when you do find out, you're like, kind of think worst case scenario right away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like the adjustment of all of that information.
Right. It's not like when you're not familiar with it, you're not going to be like, oh, well, what is it? You're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you look it up later and be like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Vivian, we took a while to tell because I felt like Vivian was already embarrassing me when I would pick her from school. She'd be like, Mom, your hair. I was like, what?
So I was living in Utah. I was out west while everyone was still back home in Wisconsin. And they shared it with me over phone call, or like over FaceTime. And I personally like to get vulnerable. I was not in a good place. And I think with her sharing that, it completely threw me off guard because I wasn't physically at home. So I wasn't necessarily aware of the consistent symptoms that were flaring up that were undiagnosed at the time.
Oh, sorry. That was more of a comfort.
And when they shared it with me, I think it was very much a like check-in about life, right? Like, what do you really prioritize? What's important? There's always change in life. There's always something that will be thrown at you, and just kind of made you realize of, okay, life, you never know what life will really throw at you, so let's see how you react and what you do with that.
Mm-hmm.
What was kind of the motivation that made you click out of the sadness part into I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something different.
It was definitely after the plasma exchange, that when the numbing came back. I mean, numbing went away. There you go. And so then I felt like, okay, like it slowly was like this, okay, it's gonna be okay, but still, like, if I had a pseudo flare, like, remember sometimes, Chris, like in the morning I'd be like, oh, my leg feels funny, but I know I had them before or something. And then, so, but I think it was then maybe just trying to get back to being me, or being okay, like, but being afraid that to be me, just be normal, because I felt like if I felt that way, then it's like something was going to go wrong. Like, hey, don't forget you have MS. But I would say it was between 4 months to 8 months after, would you say? I mean,
That's
you saw it more.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely there was a time period where we didn't know what the new normal would be.
Yeah.
And then I think once you started feeling better, and once you made, with your neurologist and how he told you he didn't think there should be limits, because we really didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
So I think just after kind of realizing that new reality, and then I think building back up to when you started running again, and then thinking about bigger goals.
And I think it was, but I don't think I was still feeling comfortable. Like, I definitely wasn't feeling comfortable letting people know that I had MS, and I wouldn't let other people know that I was struggling inside, because I didn't want sad eyes. So
specifically in Betsy's case, she had an incomplete response to steroids, so we used a therapy which is very well accepted in medicine, but not readily available to a lot of folks, called plasmapheresis, where we took Betsy's blood and we filtered it to remove what we believe were pathogenic antibodies to allow her to recover quicker. In terms of long-term treatment management, you have to, with over 20 different drugs, there's a lot of things to consider on an individual basis, and that can become very complex, and often will be a focus of a whole clinic appointment just to determine what would be in the best interest of the patient and what would be feasible for them to go on.
Despite symptomatic relief following her plasma exchange, Betsy still struggled with the emotional weight of her MS diagnosis, hesitating to share it with others. This complex interplay between physical recovery and emotional processing is common for anyone facing a life-changing diagnosis. For more insight on the mental toll of this disease, we turn to a local licensed therapist.
My name is Lena, and my credentials are licensed associate marriage and family therapist, working towards my independent licensure and in the process of that. So I specialize in, I guess, couples therapy really is what my specialty is. However, I have been in the field for quite some time, so I have treated, anxiety and depression and things like that. And I do have experience with patients, with clients with chronic illness and things like that. So, yeah.
But what are some of the common psychological reactions you see in a patient that's gotten a diagnosis?
Yeah.
That's hard to deal with.
Yeah. I think the biggest things are, so I think emotional responses, right? So sadness, of course. There's a lot of hopelessness at times. If they get a terminal diagnosis, that is devastating. And then there's the anger and the almost the there's confusion, and then there's the shock value. And then also some sort of this can't be happening to me type of thing. So I think that there's a lot that goes on psychologically as far as, getting a diagnosis like that. I can't even imagine, what that would be like.
What does the grief process usually look like as far as what kind of stages do they go through to get to the acceptance phase?
Well, so it's funny that you mentioned, we talk about the 5 stages of grief, and that's the Kubler-Ross method, 5 stages of grief.
Okay.
The 5 stages you go through, the bargaining phase, the depression phase, and then finally it culminates into acceptance. And that method or the model was actually really created for the dying process, not necessarily for the grieving process. Just because grief, even though it happens in people with grieving do go through those things. They go through the bargaining, they do go through the depression and the denial and all of those things and acceptance, but it doesn't happen quite so in stages like that. And it kind of implies that there's an end to grief. And I think that that's something we need to acknowledge. Grief is an ongoing process, and it doesn't really stop. They have to figure out a new way of life and a new way to adjust to, they're figuring out what does my new role in life look like? What are my new routines? So a lot of that, no matter what type of illness you get, you have to figure out what your new role is and what that looks like and what life looks like, and find meaning again, find meaning and things. That I think that's a big key element for a lot of people is what motivates you now, finding new motivation and finding new meaning in life. Yeah.
How do physical symptoms and treatment side effects impact a patient's psychological well-being?
Very much so. I think my experience so I used to work with a seriously mentally ill population back at the Guidance Center, and most of, if not all, had chronic illness, and it could even be something like chronic back pain that just would never go away. And they were in so much pain that, here we go taking not only medications for your mental health, but medications for your pain. So a lot of times with mental illness comes chronic illness and vice versa. So that's what I've experienced. Yeah.
That kind of also rolls into the next one of, can you explain the relationship between stress and symptom management when it comes to chronic conditions?
Yeah. The more stress you have, the more your symptoms appear. And the more symptoms appear, the more stress you have. I think that's the most simple way I can break it down. Yeah.
What coping strategies have you found to be the most effective for anyone you've counseled going through something similar to Betsy, as far as like a chronic disease or a diagnosis that's new?
Yeah. And this varies from client to client because everybody's different and everybody heals differently. But I would say, there's a lot of things such as, mindfulness exercises. I think mindfulness is pretty well known across the mental health field. A lot of people have heard of this term, and I would say that that's pretty successful. Any type of mindfulness exercises, relaxation techniques, any type of like journaling or, exercise too. If you can, if your body allows, exercise. Yeah.
How would you recommend someone try to build resilience in the face of something like the uncertainty?
I would say never give up. And I would say, obviously, pay attention to your body as you figure out what your limitations are, but don't be scared to reach those limitations. I think a lot of people struggle they're uncomfortable with finding that grit, and they fall back into their systems, right? So it's hard to know that there could be something better or something new or a new challenge that could come up, right? Like, I think people get uncomfortable with that, and they don't. I'm not saying this applies to Betsy, because obviously not, but there's some people that struggle with the change because they're so used to the way it is. And so they struggle to get there, I found out that a lot in my career.
Well, what kind of mental health impacts can you see, both positive or negative, from her doing this kind of super ambitious goal?
Well, she should feel like a badass. That she should feel so incredibly proud of herself. I think it would help her be like, this chronic illness does not define who I am. And to just be able to accomplish something like this is amazing. However, I think it's not going to be easy, and it also can be potentially a very lonely process. So that's something that came to mind when I was listening to kind of her journey. Is can be lonely, and so how does she work on that along the way? How does she make sure that she's staying healthy mentally and not get in her head and not, feel so alone, Yeah. Because having a chronic illness can also be a lonely thing too,
Isolating.
So, yeah, very isolating, yeah.
What were the other symptoms that were more present then than they are today?
I would say, the numbness, but I think the feeling of being alone, if that makes any sense, feeling lonely and not feeling like myself, not allowing myself to be okay, I guess. It was so weird. It's so hard to describe, because that's what I was trying to tell Chris when I would try to tell him when he would come home from work and stuff, or we watched that one show and I'm like, yeah.
It's like this new, I don't know, but it's how do you identify something that you've never been able to articulate because it's a new experience?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and it's there's nothing necessarily physical that's wrong, but.
Right.
Oh. And you were tired.
I was tired. I was really fatigued.
It was very unusual, because you're a very healthy individual, But I just remember her being like, I am so tired. I'm so tired.
Yeah,
it was like, that's unusual. Why are you so tired? You're not sick.
Mm-hmm.
But to some degree, there were these unidentified,
Yeah.
you know.
Like she would come home from high school and then I would be like laying there. I'm like, she's like, what are you doing? What's going on? I'm so tired. I'm just tired. And then one time Chris came home early. I'm not a napper, but all of a sudden I was like napping on the couch and he's like, busted. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I was just like, I don't know what's wrong. But it was just like, and I thought, well, I was just so tired and I thought, well, I'll take a nap and I'll be more awake. But that never really happened. Or, yeah, I never had that energy.
Probably the most common symptom of MS, which is what we call an invisible symptom, so not perceptible by individuals living around the patient, is fatigue. And this isn't a fatigue that me or you may face because we had a bad night's sleep. This is quite a devastating fatigue, a feeling that you haven't almost slept for days and you've been sick, and it can be extremely debilitating. This is seen in over 80% of MS patients. And in fact, a lot of MS symptoms are invisible symptoms. You could have cognitive fatigue, physical fatigue, cognitive slowing in terms of processing speed. You could have bowel or bladder dysfunction that no one would perceive. Whenever it comes to more perceptible symptoms such as motor deficits, these are easy for people to appreciate and understand. But the invisible symptoms are really hard, not only for the patient to express to others what they're going through, but for those living around the patient to understand how debilitating and devastating that can be. When Betsy initially presented, she had active lesions in multiple different parts of her brain, including the cerebrum, which is the larger part of the brain that could have affected her ability to process and resulting in this inability to think outside of pictures, as well as brainstem, which resulted in sensory issues to her face. And her initial MRI showed multiple lesions that were enhancing, resulting in those symptoms.
While MS presented Betsy with formidable challenges, both physical and emotional, it also ignited something within her. Instead of letting the diagnosis set her limits, Betsy chose to redefine what was possible. She set her sights on running across America. She found new purpose and a powerful way to reclaim control over her life. Let's explore how this ambitious dream took shape, starting with the reactions of those closest to her. How did you feel about it when she said, I'm doing this?
Yeah, so initially we talked about maybe doing a piece of it or doing a relay or something like that.
You brought it up.
I brought it up, and that didn't go anywhere. And then there was some when she had met with her coach and he was behind it and he had everybody together, and so there was a point that definitely took a little bit to buy into it, but then knowing you and your steadfastness and your decisions, I know that you can do it.
Do it. I don't need to think.
So I just want to do what I can to support you in doing it. So that's why. So since then, once I got past that piece, it's been, we're doing this and kind of working to develop things to kind of help promote it and support it.
Yeah, he always has all these ideas. He called you?
It's all true. Mm-hmm. How did you guys feel when she said she was going to make the rock?
I don't think anybody doubted her, I would say. Not to speak on everyone, but I wasn't surprised. I think witnessing her first marathon and watching her train and being a part of it was really inspirational, and seeing her I'm setting these goals despite my diagnosis. So I don't think anyone was surprised or doubted that she's incapable of doing it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
Yeah, it's so crazy. I don't know. Well, it's just it's of course, a regular marathon wouldn't suffice. Let me run across America. And it's cool. It's awesome. I'm happy for her though, because it's so insane, but it's cool to like witness this, you know, and I think about even if she never got diagnosed and this never occurred, would they be in Arizona right now? Like, would there be a level of motivation to really just change your life and not be not saying that they were stagnant, but I think it's easy to not do all this crazy stuff if you never have a reason to really push you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I won't talk about you.
What
were you saying, dude?
Well, I felt like same how like I learned about like, when she was diagnosed with it, that it kind of just eased into that again. Like, I know we had like talks about it with her coach, and yeah, so I guess I kind of just knew again.
So you kind of saw it coming before she had said she's going to do it?
Kinda.
Or that she's at least going to be shooting for some kind of moon?
Yeah, definitely.
Your initial thought when Betsy told you she was going to do this, she kind of told us that she told you at the very end of an appointment, so you couldn't respond. But how did you take it?
Yes, I think she did that intentionally because in general, I would tell anybody, whether they're living with MS or not, that taking such an endeavor has a lot of medical risks to it. I think that it's her goal and I support her, but I am obviously concerned for anyone's well-being for doing such a strenuous physical activity. But I want to be there for her, whatever guidance I could give her, whatever support I could give her. I'm there for her, and I really want all my patients living with MS to achieve whatever goals they're planning for. I would hate for MS to derail people's plans or prevent them from doing things, and I think it's truly inspiring that it's promoted her to take such an undertaking, albeit a risky one. Engaging in such vigorous physical activity would make it likely that Betsy could have a pseudo flare or experience UTAS phenomenon, which is a temporary worsening of symptoms of multiple sclerosis due to increased core body temperature. I think the best way for her to combat this is by, staying well hydrated, maybe using garments to cool, whether that's a cooling vest, a cooling towel, and even taking breaks along the way. As to the possibility of exercise, specifically vigorous exercise, inducing an inflammatory relapse, this has been a concern of MS researchers and physicians for a long time. And I think the jury is still out. We do not know truly if physical activity could trigger a relapse, but in general, almost all MS physicians encourage their patients to engage in physical activity because we know there's a lot of benefits long term. Now, running across the country isn't your normal physical activity, so I think a lot of potential medical complications, including muscle breakdown, dehydration, could occur, but luckily Betsy's working with a great team, and they'll be watching her, monitoring her on her way, and she's very in tune with her body, so she will basically be the guide and be able to tell whenever she may need a break or may need to back off and not push it too hard on a certain day.
Backed by her family's unwavering support, Betsy's next step was preparing for the challenge ahead. As fate would have it, Betsy's move to Flagstaff placed her right down the street from Matt Fitzgerald, the accomplished running coach and author whose books had already been guiding their journey. This chance encounter would prove invaluable as Matt's Dream Run Camp became central to turning Betsy's ambitious goal into a reality. Matt was kind enough to sit down with me for an interview, and I was able to capture some of his interview with Betsy when he went live for Dream Run Camp.
Yes, I'm Matt Fitzgerald, creator of Dream Run Camp, where I am right now. It's a year-round kind of fantasy retreat for adult runners of all abilities. So you come to Flagstaff, Arizona, kind of a mecca for running, high-altitude training center, and just indulge your runner identity to the fullest, pursue whatever goals you have.
How did you end up meeting Betsy?
So Betsy moved here last summer and reached out to me. I think she had read a book or two of mine, said she was looking for a running coach. We happened to be neighbors. We happened to be having an event that very day. I invited her over. We met, hit it off, and I've been coaching her ever since.
What was your first thoughts when she found out about her diagnosis?
As someone who has always pursued big goals, I am attracted to other people who, as a coach, I'm attracted to athletes who are also pursuing big goals. So when Essie said she wanted to train to run across America in her mid-40s with a diagnosis of MS, I was excited. I wanted to be part of trying to make it happen.
Was there any doubt in your mind at the beginning?
I told Betsy, frankly, I don't know if it's possible for you to do this, but I also don't know if it's not possible for you to do this. So let's just find out together. I wanted to be open-minded and assume that she could do it one way or another.
And where does that doubt sit now, the little inkling that might have been there, now that you've seen her running the 40-mile days and 30-mile days, and the fact that she's an absolute machine?
Yeah, I've never tried to coach someone to run across America, but I am very experienced as a coach and an athlete, so I had a sense of what benchmarks I needed to see Betsy hit. And I promised to be very honest about my sense of how she was doing, because I wouldn't want her to put herself at risk in any way. And she's just hit all of the benchmarks. She has the durability, she has the mind. It's not easy. I would be the last person to guarantee she'll be able to pull it off, but I believe more now than I did in the beginning that she can do this.
Have you ever met anyone like her as far as fighting the autoimmune disease, but still in love with the running? Is that something common that you see in this camp at all?
Dream Run Camp definitely attracts people who are challenged by something in one way or another. It's like people come here out of like joy and passion for running, but they also come here often for healing of one kind or another. So I like that. It's like, it's not an easy journey. Running is not, life is not. And so Dream Run Camp is meant to be a place where people who have, passion, joy in running, but also have challenges and can, move forward in their path, whatever their path may be.
When did you start Dream Run Camp? How long has that been going for?
Dream Run Camp is pretty new. We're in our second season here. I just started with a vision related to a change in my own health. I was a lifelong runner. Got COVID early in the pandemic, never recovered actually. So I ended up in the category of folks with long COVID, lost the ability to run. And Dream Run Camp for me was a way of just putting myself in the background and trying to just focus on giving to other runners. And so I just had a very strong vision for it. Still new, still growing and evolving, but yeah, I'm seeing the vision fulfilled every day, and I intend to be doing this for a long time.
With you working with athletes, you get to watch them meet these goals and these benchmarks. What would you say to someone who's hesitant to go after something that they want, like Betsy did?
Good question. I think that athletes need to follow their heart. Sometimes not doing something is where your heart is. No one should attempt to pursue a big goal as an athlete out of a sense of obligation. It has to come from within. But if it does come from within, if you have a real hunger to chase a big ambition as a runner, then nothing should stand in the way. Like, you have a right to do that. You benefit from it, and then others around you benefit from it as well. So just, I encourage athletes to give themselves permission to follow their heart with their goals, and then just, it's not going to be easy, but just create a context that supports what you're trying to do.
I felt like we moved here for a reason, and it was
I was looking for a coach, and it was like, wait, Matt Fitzgerald lives like a few houses down from us. I was like, I'm gonna, DM him and whatever I did, or emailed you.
Happened to be a Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, why didn't you come over? I was like, shoot. No, I gotta come home. This is Hollywood.
So,
Mm-hmm.
Carson is asking about the logistics of running across America.
So, 40 miles a day right now. We're going, me, and my husband's gonna drive an RV, and our daughter's gonna drive a support car. And yeah, and some days might be like, 50 miles, some days might be 35, just depending on how I feel and everything.
I mean, like athletically, it's. I was talking with Kenzie about this. Like, it's kind of like a durability challenge. Like on the physical level, you just need to not break. It's easy to say it's like an endurance thing, and it is. But I think a lot of athletes have the endurance to do it. Like I, at one point, had the endurance to do it, but I didn't have the durability. You know what I mean? Like I would have got injured on day 2. And it was like womp womp. Thanks for trying that. Yeah, like you don't need to be fast. You need to have like just like kind of basic endurance. Like it's like will you break or not? Like on the physical level. And then there's like obviously it's a mental challenge. And then number 3, logistical. That I just knew that. So you guys are like some of this was actually news to me. Like you're dialing it in. Yeah, the logistics.
Yeah, we're working on the persistence.
Yeah.
Slowly.
While Matt's guidance provided the framework, the real test would come in pushing her limits. Betsy's journey to prepare for running across America would require achieving milestones that once seemed impossible.
Good morning. Today I am doing my first 40-mile run, and I'm feeling good I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I'm maybe just a little nervous because I wanted to leave at 6 and it's 6:44. But yeah, I will be running for 40 miles, and hopefully it will roughly take around 8 hours. Maybe sooner, maybe a little later, we'll see. Right now I'm in Donny Park and I have 15 miles in, 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so now I'm gonna head to Snowball and hopefully get another 15 miles in, and then 10 miles home will equal 40, and hopefully back by 2. And I'm feeling pretty good. Legs feel good, and no pseudo flares coming up with the MS, so I'm happy.
How you doing? How far we make it?
Okay, so I'm at 31 miles and 6 hours and 8 minutes, sorry. And I'm gonna turn around, go home, and hopefully that will take 9 miles because I don't want to run more than that. And then that will equal 40. And I didn't say this before, but my run is a 40-mile, 7 minutes run and then 3 minutes walk, which is actually to prevent like injury for the first 40 miles. Also, it's kind of nice because then I can break it down into like 10 minutes. And for some reason, it just makes sense in my head. Like, okay, it's a 10-minute workout. Okay, it's another 10-minute workout. So yeah.
That's right, and you're gonna do this every day on the
run across America. 40 miles a day, yeah. Maybe some days might be a little less, maybe some might be a little more, but we'll see.
But training for such an ambitious goal while managing MS comes with its own unique challenges. Not every day would be a celebration of achievement.
Well, today and yesterday, and I just felt crappy, and I felt like I couldn't get out of it. And I feel like if I just would accept it and let it be like this is a down day when I'm really down, then
I feel like I'm giving up and I'm letting this disease beat me, win. And so then but it's just hard to get like it feels like even if I try, I can't. Because it's like hitting a wall and you can't do anything.
A big step talking about it, and especially talking about it on camera. So I'm sure you're not the only one.
No, I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's just like having that permission or something, like to talk about it. I don't know.
Not try to deal with it and make it go away.
Yeah, or not feel judged by it, or not feel like I don't know. When I feel this way, I don't want to share it with you. You know that.
Yeah.
And then I get mad and upset at you, and then I feel bad that I'm like that. And it's like, I wish I didn't have to be like that. I don't know why. Or I feel like I just... Maybe part of me, it's like... Like my mind will go... When I'm in this place, my mind will go to like thoughts of like, okay, you're gonna progress. Like all the, what are you doing? Yeah, like with the disease, it's like, okay, what are you doing? What if this is the last 5 years you have and this is how you're gonna do it? But then that makes me feel bad. Like, oh my God, what if that's it?
Yeah.
And then I try to get out of it, and then I feel like I just can't. I feel like it's like in my brain, and it's like, I don't know, like if it's that like cognitive slowing down shit, and it's like you can't, like, I just can't do anything about it. Like it's a different feeling than the fatigue, because when I'm fatigued, I know like, okay, I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna make dinner early because I know when I pick up Vivian, I'm gonna be tired, and I'm gonna, even though I don't rest, right? Like I'm still doing stuff, but at least I'm not feeling like
you have to do stuff.
I have to, like, yeah. But this stuff, it's just like does something in my head, and there's like, I don't know how to like go a different direction, and maybe that's why, like, maybe that's probably why I felt fine running, because it was like, it wasn't much thinking, it was just, I'm gonna run.
You couldn't think about it anymore?
Well, my body was different. My body, it was like I could keep, like my body could keep going at the same pace that I've had all the other days. but my brain was just there. Or like it wasn't slow. It wasn't like, oh, you should stop, I'm tired. Because I wasn't tired. But it's like when I'm, how do I explain it?
Took your mind off of your mind.
It took my mind off my mind, yeah. I guess. I don't know how to explain it.
Maybe something routine that you know that you can do and you do well.
I don't know. I just fucking hate this.
These moments of struggle, rather than deterring Betsy, only strengthen her resolve. Each setback becomes another reason to push forward, to show others what's possible, even in the face of multiple sclerosis.
It's not a bad day, what motivates me? I think it's just taking one step at a time, like that day, and just finishing, like going for a run. That's will motivate me to move on to the next thing, or feeling like, okay, I ran, I did something. This little girl right here motivates me because I want to be there for her. So when she gets their age, oh my God, yeah. And the two older ones, because they still need mama. You might not think so, but no, it's kidding. No, and Chris motivates me. Like, it's just I guess family. That would have been easy for me.
To have resilience, courage, determination, and an optimistic attitude can be a difference maker with MS. Being optimistic has been shown not only with multiple sclerosis, but other neurologic conditions to help people have good outcomes. And Betsy's basically trying to achieve this monumental feat is just a reflection of those attributes she has: her grit, her resilience, her courage, her determination. And I'm really proud of her. I'm excited for her to go on this journey, and I think it will really help not only her, showing her that she can do this, but also not only help but also will help the MS community at large. It's going to bring some recognition to the disease. It's going to inspire patients, whether they've been recently diagnosed or had the diagnosis for decades. And I know the MS community will be behind her, cheering her on.
What's the main message you want for people that are also suffering from MS?
That I know they probably feel alone in their thoughts in their head, but like it can get better. It's gonna suck at first, and you're not gonna know what's going on. And I just keep moving your body and drink a lot of water and make a change, because I feel like everyone has different symptoms, so I can't tell you what to do. But I feel like there's got to be something in your life that you can change, and hopefully that will help you feel better and lessen symptoms. But but you're not alone, and make a change in your life. And even if it's just taking a few steps a day, and then, increasing your steps 5 minutes each day or each week, if you can, getting outside, joining what is it?
CrossFit?
No, actually, it's. Come on, I'm joining Vivian. Help,
MS gym that you joined?
Bingo. A support group. MS support. Oh, you said that? Yes. I thought you said sports group.
No.
I was like, yeah, join. Sorry. Or a sports group.
Truly, though.
Yeah, because you're gonna feel a lot better if you find people who have this disease, because you're gonna be able to connect. You're gonna have same symptoms, but they're not gonna be probably the same reaction. But you're just gonna feel human again. If that does.
Mom, does meditating help?
And meditation, yes. Thank you, Vivian. Meditating definitely helps.
Is that something you were practicing before?
Yes. It was because Chris meditated before, and I would always get mad at him. I'm like, why do you need to meditate? You're already, you're gonna. And then he's like, that's why. And so then I tried it. I was like, oh, this actually just kind of relaxed me. Maybe I should do it more.
Getting diagnosed with MS is basically trying to navigate the landscape of uncertainties. Make sure you do your own research. Sometimes clinicians are apprehensive for patients to do their own research, but there's a lot of good resources, such as the National MS Society, that can provide information. Be an advocate for yourself. Find a good care team that will also advocate for you. And know that you don't have to go through it alone, not only from your care team, but also from family and friends. And MS is a chronic illness. You're going to be living with it your whole life. So it's good to get very familiar with the disease. And the sooner you come to terms with the disease, while it's a challenging thing, the sooner you can move forward to take the steps to help rein in the disease and ultimately, hopefully, get the best outcome with living with MS.
Like I want to be an example to people with MS, but I also want to be an example to my children that, like, when life gets hard, just you can fight through it. You can keep going, and then you can keep living. Because life is hard. Things are going to come up that you're not expecting, especially when you're at a good place. So.
Persevere.
Every crystal. Bring it in, G.
Oh my God.
All right.
Love you.
No, why do you say well?
Jake's gonna tell me.
Oh gosh.
Behind every extraordinary journey are the people who make it possible. At Dream Run Camp, fate continued to align. One of Betsy's training partners shared her own MS diagnosis, while another had already run across America. Capturing these moments firsthand, it was clear Betsy was exactly where she needed to be.
Right?
Yeah.
And then that's where Marie revealed that she has MS, the big reveal, that she has MS too.
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah. And still going strong.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And we connected.
Great chat.
Yeah. It was awesome. I was so happy. I was in such a good mood after talking to you. Not that I wasn't.
A lot in common as well.
Yeah.
A lot in common.
Yeah.
How we dealt with it at the start and how we gets better after
Yeah.
years. And you start telling people.
And then you don't, or how like we both didn't tell people. Like, yeah.
3 years for me. I mean, you're only 3 years in. It took me longer than that to
And I don't think I would have told people if I wasn't.
running across the
Yeah,
country.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. I think I would have just been still trying to get more comfortable with
It's not
that.
something that comes up in conversation necessarily, is it?
Skylar's going to, right, Skylar?
Skylar, gonna come on?
Maybe.
What am I doing?
Yeah, maybe go a little bit.
Run some of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? To join Betsy somewhere along the way.
Ooh. That would be cool, Skylar, because I do have to run through California.
I live across America. Have you started America? I have, in fact, actually.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, you already ran across America?
Well, I didn't do it alone, so.
Dang.
Yeah.
Dang, you think you would have mentioned this to me earlier?
Yeah, but
Just like Marie keeping shit.
I thought I did mention it.
No. Skylar.
I ran with 4K for Cancer.
Wait, are you? No.
From San Francisco to Boston. Yeah, summer 2019.
You did not. What? Why are you just bringing this up now?
I really thought I brought it up.
I can't express how impressed and honestly proud I am of you, Betsy. You're taking on a huge task, and I know that with your grit and determination, you'll be able to achieve it. Your ability to do this not only shows your own strength, but gives those in the MS community basically confidence and inspiration to take on tasks that they may not have wanted to do or were apprehensive to do otherwise. So keep it up, and I'm excited to see where this journey will take you.
My message for future Betsy is honestly thank you. You know, this has been an incredible journey for me. I think you're just a wonderful person. I'm glad to know you. I'm honored to be your coach. I'm getting a lot out of this partnership. So thank you. You know, wherever it goes from here, like I'm super proud of you. I'm proud to know you, and thank you.
Girl, these are. Look at this. Look at you there.
You there.
Look at that. Oh. Cross country and track. So I got my letter and my numbers. And good at running. My whole family was. We're really good at runners. I probably could have went far. This is me, but it doesn't say the year. This is 1980s, and it was probably my mom's, and I felt like so cool. Oh, I do look different. Real. Dang. And then the bus stop for my high school would be here. I didn't really take it though, I got rides with friends, but this one time I had to take it. And this other kid who grew up down the street, he took it. And he was smoking pot, and he's like, do you want a hit? And I'm like, sure, I'll take a hit, whatever. Kick the can, goes in the graveyard, all that. And you just knew everybody, and you knew who was hanging out with who. The sense of community was strong. It wasn't like, before it was Candy Cane Lane, there were just a lot of kids that were friends with everybody. Like, it was Monday, and I noticed like the top of my head was kind of numb. And I'm like, well, that's weird. And it was just on my left side, and I'm like, huh, well, must be, maybe I have a sinus infection, because like it was getting numb down here, and then Tuesday it was like more numb all over, just my left side. So I'm like, that's weird. Doctor came in, asked me questions, blah, blah, blah. They're like, you're gonna get an MRI. I'm like, okay. And the nurse was there, and they were just like, so is there anybody you can call? We just, we found something in the MRI, and I was just like, oh my gosh. We found lesions in your brain, and it's diagnosed as MS. Well, I'm checking my oxygen level, but I had to do for COVID,
Why do you have to check it?
Make sure my body's getting oxygen, I guess. 60 and older, or have a, that's what I said, told him. Immunocompromised, yeah. Oh, it's just moving this. Let me see. Guess I'll put that right there for my medication. That take once a month. So this is how it comes, and then you just take off and then it'll be like green, and you just kind of, and then you have to wait till it clicks. Well, it's a very strong medication. Once a month.
So you don't have to take pills?
No, you could. There are pills. This is just one of the newer medications. So my doctor thought this would be the best one for me. The neurologist can only tell me so much. He can tell me what he sees now and how to prevent any more from happening, but he can't ever take MS away. What is it that makes people have it? Is it like, so it's like stress, trauma, things like that? Okay, maybe I kept too much inside and pushed things down, didn't deal with things. Maybe that whacked out my nervous system. I don't know, because no one really knows, but it's an autoimmune disease. So then you think, well, that really doesn't do anything with your autoimmune, but yeah, that's why it's the mystery disease. So in that moment, I was like, okay, I'm diagnosed with this. I don't really know much about it. All I know is people end up in wheelchairs, and I don't know why. And so that part scared me, like at that second, sorry. Just because it's like,
I'm so active and I don't not want to be active. Steroids, like 25 pills a day, I think, of this steroid, yeah, for 5 days straight. And it did nothing. I felt like I was threatened by this disease. Mind you, like, so I found out in August, and then September, the end of September was when my doctor said, okay, I was still numb. He saw that other flare by my brainstem, and he said, let's do this plasma exchange and see if that helps. And I'm like, okay. And I'm just like, you know, I was mad. I was really mad, but I wasn't sure who to be mad at. And then I felt bad because I didn't want to go to, like, your girl's wedding, like, in a wheelchair. And to, like, you just think of things like that. Go to Vivian's school activity in a wheelchair. Or it's just weird. When the numbing went away after the plasma exchange, that's when it just was like, oh my God, I was like so happy. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe it worked. Because I was kind of doubtful because the steroids didn't work. And that was really emotional. It was like a lot of drugs at once. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And I then realized that, okay, life is too short. Society, oh, I gotta have this, this makes me happy, and then it doesn't make you happy because you always feel like you need to fulfill yourself with something, you know? Serious.
No, I know.
When it's right, when it's just take a breath, enjoy.
So I'm afraid of heights, and I'm wondering if this had something to do with it, because sometimes I remember being like, oh, I gotta walk over the footbridge. But then I remember like loving it. It's like the best thing after school. Because we would make the semis beat their horns. I didn't really like school growing up. I liked the social part of it, which I guess a lot of kids liked. But yeah, I liked gym class. So I think having a child at a young age can make any woman stronger. Strong enough to leave something, to leave a marriage, and, you know, break up the family because it is a sad thing, but knowing that it wasn't who I truly was. It made me stronger because things are easy. It was easier. It was easier being married and having children young, but I knew that I wasn't truly happy. Didn't feel like I was my authentic self.
What? I don't know. You okay? You gonna help your sister clean her car?
Yeah, but
What do we should
can I please not have the other
That's
people?
fine. Just
Do you
do it.
want $5 or do you want it?
What are my neighbors are thinking? They're probably thinking. I don't know what they're thinking. It all happened for a reason, you know. Like, rather enjoy life and enjoy it and do things and experience things. Don't take life for granted. And be who you are. Don't change yourself for somebody or something. Don't feel like you won't be accepted in this world. And those people who judge you, they're not worthy. Like, life brings you ups and downs, and without that middle part, the struggle, then where's that experience? Where's that learning? You know, you can't go from A to B without the middle.
So there's a lot of ways to help advance the research for those who are living with MS, participating in trials, whether those are interventional trials or natural history trials. Just learning more about the disease can be helpful. Just speaking to those around you, promoting the disease in the terms of bringing recognition to it and awareness to it can be very helpful. Um, Oftentimes people mistake MS for other neurologic diseases or have a very skewed view of what it is. But even being vocal about it and participating with local communities, whether that's support groups, fundraisers, or your local chapter of the National MS Society can be ways to help MS research as well as helping others living with MS.